Welcome back. I'm Michael Bull, and this is the Commercial Real Estate Show. We do appreciate hearing from you. So if you have any questions or comments, be sure to circle, like, tweet, email, or call us. All our information is at commercialrealestateshow.com. Today we're exploring the student housing industry. Please welcome Miles Orth, Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of Campus Apartments. Campus Apartments, founded in 1958, is one of the nation's largest developers, owners, and managers of student housing, with more than 32,000 beds in 24 states, serving over 70 colleges and universities around the country. Miles, thanks for joining us today.
Good morning, Michael. How are you?
Great, thank you. And please also welcome David Nelson, Vice President with Carter. Carter, founded in 1958, is one of the country's leading real estate investment, development, and advisory firms, with landmark mixed-use, multifamily, and innovative student housing projects under construction around the country. David, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Michael.
And guys, I'd like to start off asking you what you're seeing in the properties that you own and manage. So Miles, for property level performance in student housing in your markets, what do you see?
Campus Apartments operates in 26 states across the country, so we have a pretty broad look at things, and we're looking at about 300 basis points above on a year-over-year basis last year's performance from a pre-leasing standpoint. Keep in mind, student housing is unique in that we're pre-leasing as early as September of the year before for the next academic year. So we're seeing strength on the pre-leasing. Rents, different story. We're looking, we're in the 2 to 2.5% increase on rent growth on a year-over-year basis. The story there, though, I think, compared to the conventional marketplace, conventional multifamily, is that we've been steady through the recessionary period and have enjoyed pretty good rent growth in each year, really for the last 10 years. But there's a little softness due to some oversupply in specific markets that's having an overall effect on our rent growth.
Yeah, well, that's nice that the sector did well through the recession. And Miles, some people would think that apartments and student housing is very similar in management and those sorts of things. What are some of the differences you see in management between apartments and student housing?
I think there's three key differences. One is the seasonality of the leasing. So, compared to conventional multifamily where you're leasing, each month in effect, in student housing you're leasing as long as a year in advance for a future term. The other key difference, and this can't be understated, is turnover. So in student housing, you may be retaining 35 to 40% of your residents each year. The rest are moving on to other apartments or graduating. So you're turning 60 to 65% of your apartments in a 2-week period. So having the staff and the management capability to handle that is huge. And the other key difference, I think, is the relationship with the university. Obviously, conventional apartment managers have to have close relationships with area businesses, the chamber, those types of things. But the connection of the nexus between a student housing operator and the university they serve is incredibly important. And you have to have teams on site that understand that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And David, talk to us about construction. What might surprise people with the difference between building apartments versus building student housing?
I'm really going to echo what Miles said, and it kind of comes down to two words in our mind. It's hotel rooms. Student housing construction is extremely binary. You win or you lose. And multifamily, if you miss the day by a month, you pay a little bit extra interest carry, you pay some preferred return to your investors. But from a student housing perspective, you've got 600 kids or whatever the number is coming August 15th, and if you miss the day, you're paying both of those things that you're paying in multifamily, but you're also looking for hotel rooms so that you don't completely miss a full year's leasing cycle.
Wow, because that could be really big. And what about some of the amenities? Are you building more amenities in student housing than you are in apartments today?
Yeah, from an urban multifamily perspective, which is what we look at a lot, we rely a lot on the fabric of the city and the activity centers of the city to provide the nightlife or the excitement for the tenant. And so we'll shrink the size of the unit. We'll do a little bit less amenities. It's still amenitized. From a student housing perspective, what you've seen a lot of developers, particularly the ones that move further away from campus, it's trying to provide almost an all-inclusive environment for students where they can study and be productive students, where they can hang out and have places to have fun without leaving campus, if you would, which campus being your project.
Right, and we're short on the break, but what are a couple quick amenities that might surprise people that you have in student housing today?
It's everything. There's everything is in the project. The resort style pools with different tiers and levels of in the pool, golf simulators, just about anything you can think of.
And you said tanning beds earlier.
Oh, tanning beds are huge. It's still happening, surprisingly.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here. Stay tuned for more intel on the student housing market. I'm Michael Bull. This is the Commercial Real Estate Show. We'll be right back. The Commercial Real Estate Show is brought to you in part by your friends at Bull Realty. When your business requires proven performance, visit bullrealty.com or call 800-408-BULL. Welcome back. I'm Michael Bull, and this is the Commercial Real Estate Show. We've been working on some incredible new shows for you, including next week's show on the office market, and the following week we'll cover the retail sector. Don't miss a show of special interest to you. Sign up for a once-a-week email announcing the show topic at commercialrealestateshow.com. Well, today we're exploring the student housing industry. My guests are David Nelson with Carter and Miles Orth with Campus Apartment. And Miles, I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about what students are demanding in their space today. What are some of the design features and amenities you see in student housing today?
Yeah, it's really amazing. Sort of think Disney-like, resort clubhouses, high-end finishes. Of course, you got Bed Bath parity, but you're looking at multi-level clubhouses, the golf simulation, of course, the tanning beds, the cafes, spas, nail salons. It's unbelievable. It's certainly not your dad's student housing, and but really, if you think resort and then think high-end Disney-like type of locations, that's what's being built out there and added to, and that's something that's really grown. Students go to what's new, and so developers feel the pressure to be able to add something unique and different each time a new product comes into a market.
Well, my high school children are going to be glad to hear about those Disney amenities.
That's right.
And David, what about the proximity to campus? How important is it to be close to campus in this industry?
Yeah, I would say the most important amenity that you can offer is proximity to campus. The industry continues to evolve. The amenities continue to evolve. Everyone adds the next best amenity. The car gets a little bit shinier every single time, but you cannot replace a great location. And at the end of the day, students that are living further away from campus, it comes to a point in time where they're going to be frustrated with being late to class because they couldn't find a parking space, or they got a DUI on the drive home. Because the reality is activity centers, bars, places that kids like to go out, eat, they're next to campus. Classes are at campus, so they want to be as close to campus as they can possibly be.
Okay, and what about cost of construction? You guys talked about the heavy amenities. You got to be really close to campus as another great amenity. How do construction costs differ from student housing, say, compared to regular apartments, David?
Student housing, from a standpoint of building, a 4-bed, 4-bath, you get to spread the costs of a kitchen over 4 bedrooms as opposed to maybe 1 or 2 bedrooms in an apartment, in a multifamily apartment. But then you're going over the top on the amenities and spending a lot of extra money there. So when we look at it, we kind of look at it from the standpoint of sticks are sticks. The guy laying tile or carpet, he doesn't know if he's in a student housing project or a multifamily project. The costs are pretty similar. The real question is, how amenitized are you going to be? What's the product level? How is it going to be a super luxury project or not? And so we look at it pretty similar, and just depends on what you want to do.
Okay. And Miles, what are you seeing with some of your projects?
Yeah, I guess I would just echo exactly what David has said. So there's not a huge difference between costs. One big difference in student housing, again, if you're building a 4-bedroom, you're building 4-bedroom, 4-bath, so there's bed-bath parity. So to the extent that an additional bathroom is going to increase your cost slightly, that's really the add-on on top of the amenities, which are definitely at a higher level than what you're going to see even in a luxury conventional apartment community. So there isn't a big difference. Obviously, the drivers are stick or concrete or steel, and then locality, a location. If you're building in Philadelphia versus Statesboro, Georgia, there's going to be a significant difference in cost. But I agree with what David just said in terms of the comparison.
Okay. And David, what about financing for existing projects and new development? What do you see out there today in the financing world?
I think the financing world has started to, in the last several years, recognize the value of student housing and how it performed during the recession. And as opposed to this super niche product type that people were scared of, they realize that there's incredible operators out there like a Campus Apartments who can handle the heavy lifting, if you will, and they're looking to get into the space. So you're starting to see financing loosening up. People are aggressively looking at the space, and you're even starting to see some non-recourse debt financing at lower leverage, but you're actually starting to see that again.
What kind of equity is required?
Typical deals, it's a 70-30 deal, but that's requiring recourse. But if you go lower and you put in a little bit more equity, you can get rid of some of the repayment guarantees.
Okay. And Miles, the experience of the sponsor, is that you're seeing that is real important?
Yeah, I think most of the lenders out there are going to take a very careful look at who the sponsor is and what their track record is, where they have operated, what their performance metrics have been in their stabilized portfolio. We are constantly getting feedback from whether it be the life companies or GSEs on experience being for them the most critical aspect, and whether it be on the delivery side or on the management side, they view that as probably the number one, number two key element that they're looking at.
Okay, we're on the break here, David, but quick answer to this question: is it time to build now?
Build now and build fast.
Build now and build fast so you can lease them quickly, right?
That's right.
And I guess that really does depend on the market. This sector is really sub-market specific, based around those colleges, right?
Absolutely. Very localized.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll take a break here. We'll be right back. As a reminder, you're invited to use the show videos and blog and audio podcasts as informative content for your social media. There's a share bar on each show page, blog, and video. You can find them at commercialrealestateshow.com. I'm Michael Bull. This is the Commercial Real Estate Show. We'll be right back. The Commercial Real Estate Show is brought to you in part by France Media. France Media provides exposure to the world of commercial real estate. Visit francemediainc.com or call 404-832-8262. Welcome back. I'm Michael Bull, and this is the Commercial Real Estate Show. Today we're exploring the student housing industry. My guests are David Nelson with Carter and Miles Orth with Campus Apartment. And Miles, I'd like to talk to you about the investment market. What are some cap rate examples you see in the market, and what do you see for investor demand and sales volume?
Sure. Well, cap rates, there's been a spread and continues to be a spread between student housing and overall apartments. But over the last 12 months, the trades that have occurred in the student housing space are averaging cap of about 6.85%. That compares to just around 6% for the overall apartment sales that have taken place. And volume is up significantly in 2012. There were probably 175 trades of properties that took place in the market, or about 30,000 units. That's up pretty significantly over 2011. It still compares, it's small potatoes when compared to the overall apartment market. But what's driving that is investment in the space, and in particular institutional investors and REITs looking at the space, wanting to get in, and that's both driving up demand and moving cap rates, but it's also driving development of core properties, sort of a core investment, core development kind of asset.
Okay. And Davey, what do you expect for cap rates moving forward? If we've got a lot of demand from investors, but we also have new construction on the horizon.
Yeah, I think you'll see just healthy volumes. I don't think cap rates will compress much more than they have compressed, but we think that they're going to stay where they're at for a little while.
Okay. And guys, can you tell us quickly about where you're building projects right now, Miles?
Sure. We're building at Howard University outside of D.C. We're building in a couple of the state system schools in Pennsylvania, and also at St. Joe's in Philadelphia. We also just completed our first hotel, which is a little bit outside our bailiwick, but it's been a great investment so far, and that's in Philly.
And David?
We've got some off-campus projects at Ole Miss, University of Michigan, a new project we're starting in Texas, San Antonio, and then some program work on campus at Louisiana Lafayette and some others in the Southeast.
Okay. So at Carter, you do fee development as well, right?
We do. For the last 20-plus years, we've been on campus doing fee work for universities, building football stadiums or laboratories or 15,000 beds on campus.
Okay, great. Can you guys leave us with a tip for our listeners related to student housing, Miles?
I would say if you're getting into the space for the first time, you're contemplating it, work with a seasoned operator, somebody that's made a lot of mistakes and can help walk you through the minefield that can exist in the student space.
Okay, David?
I would just say doing your due diligence and your market study of the very localized market is critically important, and there's huge staying power with these larger universities, these top tier universities, and if you can get a great location and you work with a great operator, you'll do all right.
All right, David, Miles, thanks for joining us today, guys.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
The Commercial Real Estate Show is brought to you by your friends at Bull Realty, France Medio, Atlanta Office Liquidators, and Wiseman, Nowak, Curry, and Wilco. For more information about these companies or to access additional show podcasts, videos, or blogs, visit commercialrealestateshow.com.